You ever wonder why you seem to barely have enough money to make it to the end of the month? Why you can't go on every vacation or even a really, really great vacation whenever you want? The reason is because there is a secret money game that's being played. And if you don't know the game or the secret to the game, you're really not playing. You're just a pawn. I'm not here to raise or ruffle feathers. I'm here to provide some solutions, some insights as the beginning, as the impetus of you really changing and transforming the dynamics of your life, of your family, and of your future. You see, I believe that when you control yourself, when you are a master of yourself, you will become a master in every facet of your life, your finances, your fitness, your relationships, your spirituality. And once you master that and you become in control of your emotions and your actions and your reactions, most importantly, I believe that society will pay you handsomely for that value. And that's what we're all here to do, is to create more value so that we can live the life that we know we deserve, that we dream, and that we want. So here's the secret to the money game. The first is you have to understand the financial pyramid. And at the base of anyone's financial pyramid, their foundation has to be sturdy. You know, the Bible says, build your house upon a rock. Really says the church, but you get what I'm saying. So your finances have to be rock solid. In order to get them solid, you have to get away from living check to check. You need to have some reserves. And the fastest way to get reserves is to begin to take full control over what's coming in and what's going out. So you need to go through and do an analysis on your income and your spending. You know, there's only two ways to get wealthy. It's spend less or make more. And we want you to do both. But what happens so many times is that people are so confused, so frustrated, so confined with paying bills, they never get to the point to where they are free enough to be creative enough to make more money. We're going to get you there. It's not going to take a lot, but it is going to take some patience. It's going to take some consistency and determination. So what does it take to get there? So we're going to structure our foundation. Our foundation is as little debt as possible, which means as high a credit score as possible, which also means that we're not dependent on the next check just to get by. So we want to get organized. You want to know what's coming in and what's going out. You want to make sure that you're in complete control of that and that you have a plan for what you're going to spend out of every paycheck. You see, every dollar has a duty in your financial relationship. Is the duty of this dollar to pay a bill, or is it to invest in a stock company that's going to multiply your net worth? So you want to get a solid foundation. Also with your foundation, after you get organized and you know that you're working hard to get debt free, and we're not talking about cars and houses, we're talking about credit cards and revolving debts. But once you've done that, you want to then take a look and say, how much reserves do I have in case of an emergency? You know, they tell us if the grid goes down, you need 7 days of food and water. Do you have 7 days of finances saved up? Do you have 2 weeks worth of finances saved up, or a month? The more you have reserved, the more solid your financial future. And I know that everyone is so intent on telling you how you should make sure all of your money is working. You shouldn't hold any cash. But I'm a big believer that you should hold, a minimum of $10,000 of cash. And I tell my intimate clients $100,000 of cash. And when we talk about cash, you're probably getting some return on it. You're getting some savings on it. You're getting something on it, but we're not investing it or tying it up for a potential loss. It is all about security and emergencies. We need to be able to access this money within a short window if necessary. Now, we never expect to need $100,000. However, we want to be able to make sure that if anything were to happen, you have an ailment, you have an illness, you get displaced in your job, that you don't have to go running to the next employer, begging and pleading for a new position. You actually have the ability to secure your life and choose who's you're going to partner with, that you're going to work with in order to enhance your life. So you have your foundation. You stop living check to check. You've increased your emergency fund position. Now you need to figure out if you're comfortable or satisfied with where you're living. Do you have your living arrangements? Are you paying rent, or are you buying a property that's multiplying your net worth? Because this whole game is about net worth. And the secret is that society doesn't want you to have too much reserves. They want you to make 100 and spend 100. Because if you make 100,000 and you spend 100,000, you're in the same boat as the person who makes 25 and spends 25. You're no better, you're no worse. Now, but the secret is they make you think that you're better because you're making more money. They make you think you're more valuable because you're making more money. I have clients that make over $250,000 a year that are underwater. They have, 50, 60, $70,000 of debt. So it doesn't make you any better. You may feel like it makes you better, but on paper and in reality, you have more stress than the person who makes $100,000 a year and has no debt, and they're able to save $1,000, $2,000 a month versus needing every penny just to get by. So it doesn't matter. The secret is the system wants you to spend on credit cards because you're the good person that's going to keep working. You're going to keep grinding in order to pay those credit cards, in order to pay your car and your mortgage and your rent and your leases and pay for your vacations. They know you're going to work to make this happen because you want to continue to get new things. You want that new TV, you want that new car. And so they want good people to break even and continue to struggle, because the struggle keeps you in their side of the playing field where they're scoring and you're playing defense. We want to get to the point to where you're playing offense as well. And so now that you get to this point, you understand the secret. Let's talk about how to get out of it. So once you get to this great financial foundation, what your goal is, it's to start to maximize your 401k. I can invest your money for you as a certified or a registered investment advisor. But here's the truth. If you give me dollars to invest inside of a 401k plan that could be going into a 401k plan, and you go, hey, Derick, I want you to buy me this Amazon stock or this Google stock or this new drilling stock because I hear it's going to be amazing. The truth of the matter is that when you put money into an investment with an outside investment person, or if you're doing it yourself, that is after tax money, meaning that you pay 25% taxes, 30% taxes on that money. So that if you want to invest $1,000, you really had to make $1,400 to invest the $1,000. You're already 30% behind. But if you take those same dollars and you put them into your 401k program, you're automatically up that amount of money because you didn't take it out of your income. It's still inside. It's not taxable. It's growing tax deferred. Of course, it'll be taxed when you actually take it years in the future. But for now, it's growing. So you want to get to the point to where you have enough reserves that you can max out your 401k plan. It might be 20% of your income is going in there. But if you're a 2-income household and both of you are doing that, that is a lot of power and a lot of progress. So you get the tax deferral, you get the company match, and then you also are investing the money so hopefully that it'll still grow at 8 to 12% a year. That combination cannot be beaten over a long period of time. And that's the fastest and best way for you to accumulate real wealth. So now that you've maxed out your 401k, then it's time to take a look at outside Roth IRAs, outside IRAs if you can qualify, but you probably won't qualify for the tax deduction, but you will qualify for deferral. You could also use fixed annuities. But now's the time to start accumulating assets, those extra dollars that you've been saving outside of the pension, and start to take a look at where you can put those dollars to work. I suggest that you have a multitude of buckets or accounts. You need an emergency fund bucket, you need a vacation bucket, a home repair bucket. All of these are different savings accounts so that you can allocate the funds necessary for those items. And then the funds in those items dictate what your next purchase is. So you have $4,000 in your vacation fund and you are really ready to go on vacation. You can go on a $4,000 vacation. Don't sign up for a $7,000 vacation and put $3,000 on your credit card. If you want to do that, then you need to continue to save inside of that bucket till you hit $7,000. Now, I'm not suggesting that you don't use your credit card to pay for it. What I'm suggesting is that you use your credit card to pay for it, get the points, do those type of things, and then pay it off in 30 days interest-free. Don't carry those debts for years and years and years, paying for vacations that you took, 4 years ago. You want to stay debt-free as often and as long as possible, because that's the best way for you to build net worth. And I want you to do a little exercise. Take a look at all of your assets and then subtract all of your liabilities, anything above $500, right? Any debt that's over 500, any savings or asset over 500, and then subtract those, and what's left over will tell you your net worth. If it's negative, we got some work to do. If it's barely positive, we have a lot of work to do. And if it's positive, we need to do the next calculation, which is how much money do I need to have invested so that it will replace my income? That's called passive income. So the secret to the money game is to have some money. It's to not fall into the trap of just breaking even or being underwater year after year financially. The money game is a game because when you buy a company's product, there is an investment that they're gaining from, because the more sales they have, the bigger and the better the profit margin on their investment of the company that you bought it from. As an example, you buy a Samsung TV, you pay $1,500 for it. There's definitely a 50% markup on that. So the company gets that profit, goes along with the other profits from the other sales. They pay bonuses, they pay themselves, and what's left over is going to help raise that stock price. So we want to talk about this next time. We'll talk specifically about investing, but most importantly, you want to know that compounding your money is the secret to building an amazing net worth, having your dollars work for you. So pay attention to what you're doing, analyze where your money is going, and I promise you, you won't regret it.